and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries. 100 eye colors mysteries, looping softly, endlessly through the night. Tonight we'll drift through why green eyes are the rarest on Earth, how light subtly changes perceived eye color, the genetics behind two people with blue eyes having brown-eyed children. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink, heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing, thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself, shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark. If this helps you rest, tap subscribe, comment, and hit like, so others can find this calm too, but only if your eyes are still open. Otherwise, just drift. Now, let's drift into eye colors. Every color you've ever seen in someone's eyes is a story written in melanin, in light, in the very structure of cells too small to see. The iris, that delicate ring floating in the eye, is more complex than it appears. Layers of tissue, pigment scattered, light bending through, creating colors that shift, that seem to change, moment to moment. Breathe slowly, deeply, and feel yourself sinking, heavier, heavier. The most common eye color across all humanity is brown, deep, rich brown, carrying the most melanin, the pigment that colors our skin, our hair, our eyes. Brown eyes hold melanin in both the front layers of the iris and the back, dense, protective, like a gentle shield, absorbing light. This darkness, this richness, emerged first in our earliest ancestors, in Africa, where sunlight beats down, where ultraviolet rays pierce, and melanin became armor, beautiful armor. Your heart keeps its rhythm, slow, steady. But then, something happened thousands of years ago, near the Black Sea, in one person, a single mutation, a genetic shift, and blue eyes were born. This wasn't about gaining something new, but losing something, losing melanin in the front layers of the iris, while keeping it in the back. The iris became almost translucent, and light began to scatter, to bounce, creating the illusion, the beautiful illusion of blue. Let your jaw go slack, tongue resting, throat open, breathing, just breathing. Blue eyes aren't truly blue. There's no blue pigment, no blue dye floating in the iris. Instead, it's physics, the Tyndall effect, the same reason the sky appears blue. Light enters the eye, hits the iris, and shorter wavelengths, the blues, scatter more than the reds, reflecting back, creating that cool, endless, ocean color. Your eyelids growing heavy, heavier, like soft weights, pulling down. This first blue-eyed person, this ancient ancestor, lived maybe 10,000 years ago, and every blue-eyed person alive today, every single one, carries a piece of that original mutation, the same genetic variation, passed down generation after generation, spreading slowly, northward, westward, through Europe, through populations adapting to less sunlight, to longer winters, to grey skies, sinking deeper now, into the mattress, into the darkness, into sleep. And then, rarer still, green eyes emerged, the rarest eye colour of all. Only about 2% of the world's population has green eyes. Green is neither brown nor blue, but something in between, a delicate balance, a moderate amount of melanin in the front of the iris, combined with that same light scattering. The yellow-brown of the melanin mixes with the scattered blue light, and our eyes perceive green, like sunlight through leaves, like the ocean in shallow water. Thump, thump, slower now, calmer. Green eyes cluster in northern and central Europe, in Ireland, in Scotland, in Iceland. Concentrations of this rare colour, this genetic gift. But you can find green eyes scattered worldwide, in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. Rare jewels, unexpected, your breathing slowing, matching the rhythm of these words, of this drift. Hazel eyes tell another story, shifting, changing, appearing brown in some light, green in others, almost golden sometimes. Hazel contains even less melanin than brown, but more than green, and the distribution isn't uniform. There might be a ring of brown near the pupil, fading to green or amber at the edges. This creates depth, complexity, eyes that seem alive, that seem to shift with mood, with clothing, with the sky. Feel the weight of your arms, heavy, sinking into the bed. No need to move them. Grey eyes are blue's quieter cousin, even less melanin, even more translucent. So light scatters differently, creating silver, steel, the colour of morning mist, of winter clouds. Grey eyes can appear blue in certain light, or even slightly green. They're rare, predominantly found in northern and eastern Europe, in Russia, in the Baltic states. Letting go now of tension, of thought, of the day. Amber eyes, warm and glowing, almost copper, contain a pigment called lipochrome, the same pigment that makes some birds' feathers yellow, some flowers golden. It's a yellow-brown pigment, stronger than the melanin in brown eyes, creating that distinctive, almost luminous quality, like honey held up to light, like whiskey in a glass. Your legs growing heavier, heavier, melting down, and in the rarest cases, in albinism, where melanin production is severely reduced or absent, eyes can appear red or violet. This isn't because of red pigment, but because there's so little pigment that light penetrates deeply, reflecting off blood vessels in the back of the eye. The iris becomes a window, nearly transparent, showing the living red beneath. Each beat pulling you deeper. Eye color is polygenic, controlled not by one gene, but by many, working together, influencing each other. This is why two blue-eyed parents can sometimes have a brown-eyed child, because those hidden genes, those recessive traits, can combine in unexpected ways. The old simple models, the Punnett squares from school, they oversimplified, made it seem predictable, But genetics is more like weather, patterns within chaos, breathing softly, deeply, the air cool in your nostrils, warm as it leaves. The main genes involved, OCA2 and HERC2, sit on chromosome 15, working together. HERC2 acts like a switch, turning OCA2 up or down, controlling how much melanin gets produced. But there are at least 16 other genes that influence eye color in smaller ways, creating the vast spectrum, the subtle variations that make every iris unique. Your mind drifting now, like a boat on calm water, untethered, floating. Babies often have blue or grey eyes at birth, regardless of their eventual colour. This is because melanin production in the iris hasn't fully activated yet. The eyes are still forming, still deciding. Over the first year, the first 3 years even, melanin accumulates, and blue might deepen to brown or settle into green. This darkening is gradual, gentle, like dawn spreading across sky. Feel yourself floating down, down into deeper rest. The geographic distribution of eye colors maps human migration, tells stories of where we've been. Brown eyes dominate in Africa, in Asia, in South America, in the Middle East. Anywhere sunlight is intense, anywhere UV radiation threatens. Blue and green eyes concentrate in Europe, especially Northern Europe, where sunlight is weaker, where vitamin D production from sunlight is already limited, and darker eyes became less necessary. Heavier, heavier, your whole body sinking, supported, safe. This isn't just coincidence, it's evolution, subtle, slow, over thousands of generations. Eyes with less melanin in regions with less sun face less UV damage, and there may have been selection, mate selection, where blue or green eyes were seen as beautiful, as desirable, spreading those genes faster than random chance alone would allow. Thump, thump, your heartbeat and breath, in harmony, in rhythm. Light sensitivity varies with eye color. Light eyes, blues and greens and greys, allow more light to enter, to scatter within the iris. This means in bright sunlight, they can be more uncomfortable, more prone to squinting, to light-induced headaches. Dark eyes, with their melanin, absorb more light, filter more, provide natural protection. Your thoughts becoming quieter, more distant, like voices in another room. But this doesn't affect vision clarity. Brown-eyed and blue-eyed people see equally well, equally sharp. The color of the iris doesn't change how the lens focuses or how the retina captures light. It's only about comfort, about adaptation to brightness. People with light eyes might prefer sunglasses, might seek shade, while people with dark eyes might tolerate noon sun more easily. Drifting on words like waves, soft, endless. There are myths about night vision, that dark eyes see better in darkness, but melanin in the iris doesn't help with low light vision. That depends on rods, the cells in the retina that detect dim light. Eye color makes no difference. In the dark, we're all equal, all struggling, all adapting, pupils widening, trying to capture every photon. Let your eyes rest now, closed or closing. No need to fight it. As we age, eye color can fade, subtly, slowly. Melanin production decreases throughout the body, and the iris is no exception. Brown eyes might lighten, becoming more hazel, more amber. Blue eyes might grey, green eyes might dull. This happens over decades, imperceptible year to year. But looking at childhood photos, you might notice the difference, the slow shift, your spine lengthening, settling, each vertebra releasing. Hormones can affect eye color too, temporarily. During pregnancy, some women notice their eyes seem darker or lighter or more vibrant. This might be due to hormone fluctuations affecting melanin distribution, or simply increased blood flow, making the eye appear different. These changes usually reverse after birth, after hormone levels stabilize, sinking deeper into the bed, into the night, into nothing. And then there's perception, how light changes, what we see. Eye color appears different in sunlight versus indoor light, in morning versus evening, under fluorescent versus incandescent bulbs. Blue eyes might look grey in overcast weather. Brown eyes might seem almost black in dim light, almost amber in golden hour. The eye itself doesn't change, but our perception shifts constantly. Thump, thump, slower, softer, fading. Clothing colors influence this too, where blue and blue eyes intensify, becoming more saturated, where green and hazel eyes pull toward green, where warm colors, oranges and reds, and brown eyes seem to glow. This is contrast, is color theory. The eye reflects, and is reflected upon by everything around it. Your breath becoming the only sound, soft, rhythmic, like distant waves. Seasonal light affects perception too. In summer, with longer days, brighter sun, eyes might seem lighter, more washed out. In winter, with dimmer light, longer nights, colors appear richer, deeper, more saturated. Photographers know this. Golden hour, the hour after sunrise, before sunset, makes every eye color luminous. Feel yourself dissolving, boundaries blurring between body and bed, between wake and sleep. The structure of the iris is intricate beyond imagining. The front layer, the stroma, contains pigment cells, collagen fibers, blood vessels too small to see. Behind that, muscle fibers that contract and expand the pupil, and behind that, the pigmented epithelium, 2 layers of cells, dense with melanin, protecting the retina from excess light. Heavier, heavier, no need to hold anything anymore. These layers work together, creating color through both pigment and structure. Structural color, like in butterfly wings, in peacock feathers, doesn't come from dyes, but from how structures scatter light. Blue eyes rely primarily on structural color, while brown eyes use both pigment and structure. Your mind quiet now. Thoughts like leaves, floating away, downstream. Heterochromia, when eyes don't match, comes in varieties. Complete heterochromia means one eye is fully different, one brown, one blue perhaps. This is rare, maybe 6 in 1,000 people. It can be genetic, present from birth, or acquired from injury, from disease, from medication, drifting, floating, weightless. Central heterochromia is more common, a ring of one colour near the pupil and another colour in the outer iris, gold around the pupil with blue at the edge, or brown transitioning to green. This creates a starburst, a sunburst, radiating outward. Some estimates suggest 10% of people have some degree of central heterochromia, your body forgetting itself, dissolving into comfort. Sectoral heterochromia appears as a wedge, a slice of different colour in one eye, like a pie chart, brown taking up most of the eye, with a section of blue, or green with a splash of brown. This happens when melanin distributes unevenly during development, creating permanent, beautiful asymmetry. Thump, 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 heartbeat and breath, merging, slowing. Even between two eyes of the same colour, there's rarely perfect symmetry. If you look closely, map the patterns, count the spots, the rays radiating from the pupil. They're different, unique, like fingerprints. No two irises are identical, not even your own two eyes. This uniqueness, this complexity, makes iris scanning one of the most accurate forms of biometric identification. Letting go completely now of control, of consciousness, of everything but breath. Throughout history, different cultures assigned meaning to different eye colours. In ancient Egypt, green eyes were prized, associated with rebirth, with the Nile, with Osiris. Blue eyes in some cultures were seen as supernatural, as touched by gods, or conversed, as cursed, as evil, as unlucky, sinking into the soft darkness. Medieval Europeans sometimes feared blue eyes, associating them with witchcraft, with the other, yet also with nobility, with divine right. Contradictions everywhere. Brown eyes were trustworthy or dull, depending on who was speaking. Green eyes were mysterious or deceitful, again, depending on prejudice, on fear, on desire. Heavier, sinking through layers of consciousness into depths unknown. Comparing human eye colours to animal eyes reveals how different our needs are. Birds of prey have incredible visual acuity. Eagles see 8 times better than humans, but their eye colour serves camouflage or species recognition, not adaptation to sunlight. Owls have enormous eyes, dark, light gathering, for hunting at night, but they're forward-facing, like ours. Predator eyes, your breath, barely disturbing the silence, so soft, so slow. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, needing to see in varied light, needing to track across long distances. Our eye colours, our iris patterns, didn't need to be uniform, didn't need to match. Within populations, variation was acceptable, perhaps even beneficial. Perhaps diversity in appearance helped with individual recognition in growing social groups. Thump, thump, your heartbeat, merging with the rhythm of the earth turning. The patterns within the iris go far beyond colour. Even two people with identical brown eyes have completely different iris structures. The crypts, those small depressions, appear in different locations, different sizes, different depths, like craters on the moon, unique to each celestial body, sinking deeper into the bed, through the bed, into endless dark, radial furrows. Those lines radiating outward from the pupil create spoke patterns. Some irises have many, creating a dense web. Others have few, creating open spaces. The number, the width, the branching all vary. No pattern repeats across 8 billion people, across all of human history. Your muscles forgetting tension, knowing only release, softness, peace. The collarette, that zigzag border between the pupil zone and the ciliary zone, varies in prominence, in shape, in complexity. In some eyes, it's barely visible, smooth, subtle. In others, it's pronounced, creating dramatic divisions between inner and outer iris. These patterns form in the womb, influenced by development, by pressure, by chance, drifting like a leaf on still water, barely moving, barely there. Contraction furrows, those concentric rings, appear when the iris contracts and expands over a lifetime. Some people develop many, creating a ringed appearance like tree rings, marking time, marking light exposures, thus marking millions of pupil dilations and constrictions over years, over decades. Your thoughts, scattered like stars, too distant to gather, too faint to matter. Pigment spots, those tiny flecks of concentrated melanin, appear randomly, uniquely. Some irises have none, appearing smooth, uniform. Others have dozens, creating texture, creating complexity, like freckles on skin, but permanent, unchanging, mapped in place, forever, heavier than stone, than iron, than collapsed stars. You're sinking endlessly. This complexity, this uniqueness, makes iris recognition more accurate than fingerprints. A fingerprint has maybe 40 unique features. An iris has more than 200. The pattern is stable from about 1 year old through death. It doesn't change with age, with injury, with disease, unless severe trauma destroys the structure itself. Thump, 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 each beat pulling you under into sleep's ocean. Biometric scanners use near-infrared light to image the iris, capturing those patterns, those furrows and crypts, converting them to digital code, mathematical algorithms. Compare hundreds of data points and the probability of two irises matching by chance is less than 1 in a trillion, less than 1 in all humans who ever lived. Your breath, the tide, coming in, going out, eternal, unchanging. Even your own two eyes, your left and your right, have different patterns. They develop independently in the womb, each one forming from its own starting point, following similar instructions but creating unique results, like snowflakes, like coastlines, like branches on trees, similar but never identical, syncing, past thought, past memory, past self. This means that iris scanning needs both eyes in its database. They're stored separately, recognized separately, each one a separate key, a separate identity. You can't fool the system with a photo, with a video. It needs depth, needs the three-dimensional structure, needs living tissue, your body temperature dropping as sleep approaches, as metabolism quiets, slows, iris patterns beyond their biometric use tell stories in medicine. Ophthalmologists, trained observers, can see signs of systemic disease in the iris, arcus senilis. That grey ring around the cornea suggests high cholesterol. Kayser-Fleischer rings, golden brown rings, suggest Wilson's disease, copper accumulation in the body. Heavier, heavier. You've forgotten what it feels like to be awake. Brushfield spots, white or grey spots in the iris, sometimes indicate Down syndrome, though they can appear in typical development too. They're not diagnostic alone, but combined with other signs, they help physicians see what's invisible otherwise. They're islands of connective tissue, visible through the iris, markers of development, of genetics, drifting through darkness, soft, warm, endless. Iris heterochromia can sometimes signal underlying conditions if acquired later in life rather than present from birth. It might indicate inflammation, tumor, Horner's syndrome, but most heterochromia, especially from birth, is simply variation, harmless, beautiful, unique, your heartbeat, a distant echo in a vast canyon, fading, fading. The quiet beauty of eye color diversity speaks to humanity's journey. Every shade, every pattern carries information about ancestry, about adaptation, about the random dance of genetics. When you look into someone's eyes, you're seeing their story written in melanin, in structure, in light. Thump, thump, barely there, barely beating. Blue eyes in a family of brown-eyed people tell of a recessive gene carried silently for generations, waiting for the right combination. Green eyes in Scandinavia tell of ancient mixing of populations meeting thousands of years ago. Brown eyes everywhere tell of our shared origin, our African roots, our common beginning, your mind emptying like water, draining away, leaving nothing, just peace. Eye colors, as silent storytellers, need no words. A child's eyes, darkening over months, tell the story of melanin activating, of genetics expressing, a potential becoming reality. An elder's eyes, fading slightly, tell the story of time, of melanin depleting, of the body, slowing production of everything, sinking through the mattress, through floor, through earth, toward the planet's core. eyes meeting across a room, tell stories of recognition, of interest, of connection. The colour barely matters, but we notice it anyway. We remember it. We describe people by their eyes. She has green eyes, he has dark eyes, as if colour defines them, when really it's just melanin, just light, just physics. Your breath, so shallow now, barely sustaining, barely enough, barely anything. But physics can be beautiful. Biology can be poetry. The fact that brown eye contain more melanin doesn't diminish their depth, their warmth, their richness. The fact that blue eyes scatter light doesn't make them less striking, less clear, less endless, heavier than gravity itself, collapsing into singularity, into sleep. Eye colour and the passage of time are intertwined. A newborn's grey-blue eyes are time frozen, potential waiting. 3 months later, hints of brown appearing, time moving forward. 3 years later, final colour settled, time marked, completed. This stage, thump, thump, your heart, forgetting its purpose, just beating, because it must. Decades later, those same eyes, perhaps lighter, perhaps with arcus senilis, that grey ring, time written in the body's tissue, in the eye's structures, to the iris, a clock, measuring not hours, but years, not minutes, but decades, silent, constant, faithful. Your thoughts dissolved completely. No words, no images, just darkness. Warm, soft. How eye colours connect humanity is subtle but profound. Every brown-eyed person shares genetic heritage from ancient Africa. Every blue-eyed person shares that single mutation from the Black Sea region. We're connected through these genes, through these expressions of our shared DNA, drifting, no direction, no destination, just floating in void. A person with hazel eyes might carry genes from multiple continents. Europe and Asia, Africa and the Americas, their eyes, a mixing, a blending, a testament to love, crossing borders, crossing oceans, crossing everything that tries to divide. Your body no longer separate from the bed, from the room, from the universe. When we study eye colour, we study human migration. We can trace when populations separated, when they mixed, when they adapted. Blue eyes concentrated in Europe tell us humans have been there long enough for selection to work. Brown eyes everywhere tell us we started together and carried that trait with us everywhere, sinking past the bottom into something deeper than deep. This science behind every glance, every look, every moment of eye contact begins with light. Photons from the sun or from light bulbs bounce off a person's face. Some photons enter their iris, scatter or absorb. Some reflect back, enter your eye, hit your retina, become electrical signals, travel to your brain, become sight, become recognition, become connection. Thump, 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 almost silent, almost gone. in that fraction of a second, light has told you their eye color. Your brain has processed the pattern, the shade, has stored it in memory, all unconsciously, all automatically, all beautifully. Physics and biology working together to let you see, to let you know. Another person, your breath, the last thread, connecting you to waking, and even that, fraying, breaking. The future of eye color research holds mysteries. We're still discovering genes that influence color, still mapping how they interact, still understanding why certain mutations persist, why others disappear. The human genome is sequenced, but not fully understood. Heavier, impossibly heavy. You've merged with the earth, with gravity, with stillness. Researchers now can predict eye color from DNA with good accuracy, but they want better. They want to understand the role of epigenetics, how gene expression, not just genes themselves, affects color. They want to know why identical twins sometimes have slightly different eye colors, drifting in the space between stars, between atoms, between moments. Future research might reveal connections we haven't seen between eye color and other traits. Not personality, that's myth, but perhaps subtle connections to vitamin D metabolism, to specific disease risks, to adaptation. We haven't measured yet. Science always has. More questions than answers. Your mind, a blank page, darkness on darkness. Nothing. Written, nothing. Remembered. Gene therapy might someday change eye color, artificially. But why would we want that? The diversity is beautiful. Brown and blue, and green and hazel, and grey and amber. All beautiful, all valuable, all worth preserving. Thump, thump, your heart, barely. There. Some scientists worry about global homogenization. As populations mix, will rare colors disappear? Will everyone eventually have brown eyes, the dominant trait, winning through statistics, through probability? But genetics is more complex. Recessive genes can hide for generations, can persist in populations, ready to express when carriers meet, sinking so deep. You've forgotten the surface, forgotten light, forgotten everything. Blue eyes might become rarer in some regions, but in Northern Europe, where they're common, where both parents often carry the genes, they'll persist. Evolution doesn't push toward uniformity, but toward what works in that environment, in that population, in that moment. Your breath barely moving, air barely living. And perhaps what works is diversity. Perhaps populations benefit from variation in appearance, in eye color, in facial features, in everything that makes us recognizable, individual, human. Perhaps evolution favors the rare, the unusual, the beautiful, simply because it's different, heavier than the universe, collapsing into nothing. eye color, in the end, is just melanin, just structure, just the way light bends and scatters and reflects. It's biology, chemistry, physics, nothing more. But it's also identity, heritage, beauty, memory. It's how we recognize, remember, describe each other. Thump, thump, almost silent. It's the first thing we notice in a newborn. Who does she look like? She has your eyes, connecting child to parent, to grandparent, to ancestors, unknown. It's what we remember in the dying, holding their hand, looking into fading eyes, one last time, connecting present to past, to memory. Your consciousness, a candle, flickering, going out. Eye colors don't make us who we are. They don't determine our worth, our potential, our destiny, but they're part of the story, part of the beauty, part of what makes each person irreplaceable, unique, themselves, drifting into nothing, into everything, into sleep. And as you sink now, deeper, deeper, into rest, into dreams, into darkness, remember that your eyes, brown or blue, or green or hazel, or any shade between, are yours, unique, connected to all humanity, and yet completely individual, sinking, gone. The patterns in your iris will never appear again in all of time, in all of space. They're temporary, lasting only your lifetime, and then gone back into the void. But for now, for this moment, they're yours. They're you, heavier than anything, heavier than thought, than being, and somewhere in the darkness, behind your closed eyes, behind your resting lids, those patterns wait, those colors wait, ready for morning, ready for light, ready to scatter and absorb and reflect and be beautiful again. But not now. Now is for rest, for darkness, for sleep. Now is for letting go of sight, of color, of everything except the soft, warm, gentle drift down, down, down into peace, your breath fading into silence. The universe keeps turning, eye colors quietly shifting through human history, through evolution, through time, and we'll keep drifting, floating together through mysteries, through melanin, through light, through the science, behind every glance, every moment of connection, written in wavelengths, in photons, in scattered light. Your body undissolved into warmth, into darkness, into nothing. The iris, when examined closely, reveals landscapes, canyons and valleys, ridges and plains. The crypts, those depressions, can be deep, creating shadows or shallow, barely visible. Under magnification, they look like aerial views of the Earth, of Mars, of any rocky surface shaped by forces we can barely imagine. Thump, thump, your heart, a whisper in the void. Some crypts, called Fuchs crypts, appear at the iris periphery, near the outer edge, They're normal, appearing in most people, but their number, their size, their specific placement varies infinitely. One person might have 7 crypts, another might have 23. No pattern, no prediction, just random development, creating unique geography, sinking through layers of consciousness, past dreaming, past REM, into deep, slow-wave sleep. The pupillary zone, the inner circle around the pupil, often differs in colour from the ciliary zone, the outer ring. In brown eyes, the pupillary zone might be darker, almost black, while the ciliary zone is lighter brown or amber. In blue eyes, the pupillary zone might be deeper blue or grey-blue, while the ciliary zone is lighter, almost silver, your muscles forgetting how to move, only knowing stillness. This creates depth, dimension, makes the iris appear three-dimensional, even though we're viewing it flat on. It's subtle, but the brain perceives it, interprets it, uses it to recognize faces, to remember people, to find beauty in small variations, heavier, heavier, past heavy, into dissolution. Pigment rough, that dark border, right at the pupil's edge, appears in all eye colors. It's the continuation of the retina's pigment wrapping around, appearing at the pupil. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes scalloped, sometimes it extends forward, creating a visible ridge. These variations too are unique, unmatchable, unrepeatable, drifting on the current of these words, of breath, of nothing. When ophthalmologists examine the iris, they see stories. A white ring, arcus senilis, tells of age, of cholesterol deposits in the cornea, not the iris, but appearing to surround it. Almost everyone over 80 has some degree. Most people over 60 show hints. It's benign, normal, just times marking. Your thoughts no longer yours, just echoes, fading into distance. Iris nevus, a mole in the iris, appears as a dark spot, usually flat, usually harmless. About 6% of people have one. They're more visible in light-coloured eyes, where they stand out, dark against blue or green. In brown eyes as they blend, become invisible against the melanin, but they're there, just hidden. Thumb, barely perceptible, barely real. These never need monitoring, rarely, very rarely. They can become malignant, become melanoma, but usually they just exist, stable, unchanging, for decades. Another unique feature, another mark of individuality, another way no two irises match, sinking past the bottom of sleep into something unknowable. Iris freckles, ephelides, appear as small brown spots on the iris surface, unlike nevi, which are deeper. Freckles are superficial. They can increase with sun exposure, with age, like freckles on skin, but permanent, stable. They make blue eyes appear flecked with brown. Green eyes appear, more complex and more textured. Your breath barely disturbing the silence of the room. Some people have many iris freckles, as dozens, creating a speckled appearance. Others have none. The pattern is genetic, but also environmental. Sun exposure, UV light, stimulates melanocytes, even in the iris, even in blue eyes, where melanin is minimal. Those cells still exist, still respond, still create pigment in spots, heavier than stars, collapsing into sleep's black hole. The iris color you see in the mirror each morning is averaged by your brain. Your eye doesn't see the individual spots, the crypts, the furrows. It sees overall impression, blue or brown or green, but the details are there underneath, creating that impression through complexity. Drifting, no resistance, no effort, just being pulled gently down in photographs, especially close-up. Those details emerge. The camera captures what the eye generalizes. You can see the radial pattern, the spoke-like furrows, the scalloped pupil border, the uneven color, all of it contributing to brown eyes or blue eyes, but so much more complex than a simple label. Your mind, empty, vast, dark, peaceful. Ancient humans didn't have mirrors, not like ours. They might have seen their reflection in still water, in polished metal, but never clearly, never close. They knew their eye color only from others' descriptions. You have eyes like the sky, like the earth, like honey. Metaphors, approximations, poetry. Thump, thump. Your heart, forgetting its rhythm. They couldn't see their own iris patterns, their own crypts and furrows, couldn't map their own uniqueness. But those patterns existed anyway, unobserved, unrecorded, but real, just as real as now when we can photograph, magnify, analyze, store in databases, sinking through the fabric of reality into dream space. This makes you wonder how much of ourselves exists unobserved. How many patterns, how many unique features go unnoticed our whole lives. The shape of our retinal blood vessels, unique as irises. The pattern of our fingerprints, rarely looked at closely. The timbre of our voice, the rhythm of our walk, all unique, all unmatched, all mostly ignored. Your body no longer separate, just part of darkness. But eye color. We notice, we meet someone, and within seconds, we know their eye color. We might forget their name, forget their shirt color, forget what they said, but we remember. She had green eyes, he had dark eyes. This recognition, this noticing, feels instinctive, important, meaningful, heavier, impossibly, infinitely, heavy. Perhaps it is. Perhaps eye contact evolved as social bonding, as trust building. Looking into eyes shows vulnerability, shows attention, shows presence. And noticing colour, remembering it, extends that, makes the person more memorable or more individual, more real, drifting past thought, past self, past being. In some cultures, direct eye contact is rude, is aggressive, is disrespectful. Looking down, looking away, shows respect, shows humility. But even then, even in those cultures, eye colour gets noticed, gets remembered, gets described. The prohibition is on staring, on prolonged contact, not on seeing, knowing, recognizing your breath, the only motion, the only proof of life. Eyes across species, evolved independently many times. The octopus eye and the human eye look similar, work similarly, but evolved completely separately. Convergent evolution, because eyes are so useful, so powerful, so crucial for survival, that nature found the same solution multiple times. Thump, thump, almost gone, almost nothing. But only humans have visible whites, visible sclera around the iris. This lets us to see where others are looking, lets us to follow their gaze, lets us to cooperate, communicate without words. Look there, just by moving eyes, by directing attention, together, sinking into the void, warm, safe, eternal. And only humans have such diversity in iris colour. Most mammals have brown eyes, or yellow, or amber. Some have blue, huskies, some collies, some cats. But the range in humans, the greens and greys are the hazels, the variations, exceed most species. Why? Remains partly mysterious. Your consciousness, flickering like a star, going supernova, then gone. Perhaps it's genetic drift. Perhaps it's mating selection. Perhaps we find variation attractive, find rare colours beautiful, desirable. And so those genes spread faster than neutral traits would spread. Beauty becoming, evolution becoming diversity, heavier than the universe. You've collapsed entirely, or perhaps it's neutral. Perhaps eye colour in humans doesn't matter for survival, doesn't affect reproduction, doesn't change anything important. And so mutations accumulate, variations spread, without selection, pushing back natural, random, beautiful, chaos, drifting between heartbeats, between breaths, between existence and your void. Either way, we have it now. This spectrum of colours, of patterns, of uniqueness. 8 billion people, 16 billion irises, everyone different, everyone a small masterpiece of development, of genetics, of chance. Your breath, barely, barely, barely. When you see a newborn baby and marvel at tiny fingers, tiny toes, tiny everything, look also at their eyes, already forming those patterns, those crypts and furrows, already unique, already theirs, already unrepeatable in all of time. Thump, thump, silence, silence. Those eyes will see things you'll never see, will look at faces not yet born, will witness the future, your future, and beyond, and they'll carry that iris pattern unchanged through all of it, stable, permanent, faithful, a constant marker in a changing life, sinking past everything into nothing. The baby's eyes might be blue now, might darken later to brown, to hazel, to green, but the pattern, the underlying structure, will stay the same. The crypts might deepen slightly with age, the pupils scalloping might become more pronounced, but the map remains recognizable, constant. Your mind dissolved completely. No thoughts, no words, no self. This constancy makes iris recognition work for decades. A scan taken at 20 still matches at 60, still unlocks the same doors, still confirms the same identity. Faces change, skin wrinkles, hair greys, but the iris stays true to its pattern, to its blueprint, heavier than being. Perhaps that's comforting in a life of constant change, of aging, of transformation. Something stays the same. Something links your 20-year-old self to your 80-year-old self, beyond memory, beyond photograph, beyond everything else. Your iris remembers who you've always been, drifting in eternal darkness. Eye color as part of identity feels more essential than it should. It's just melanin, just light scattering, just physics. But we make it meaning. We say, I have my father's eyes, I have my grandmother's eyes, connecting across generations, across death, across time, your heartbeat merging with silence. And sometimes it's true. The same genes expressing the same way, creating the same blue or brown, the same amount of melanin, depositing in the same patterns across decades, across centuries, a genetic echo, visible in mirrors, in photographs, in eyes, meeting eyes, thump, thump, almost imagined, almost unreal. But even when eye color differs, when a brown-eyed child comes from blue-eyed parents or vice versa, there's connection. Those blue-eyed genes are still there, carried, hidden, waiting. They might express in grandchildren, in great-grandchildren. They're not lost, just sleeping, dormant, patient, sinking, so deep, returning seems impossible. This is how genetics works, not erasing and but preserving, carrying forward everything, even what's not expressed, even what's invisible, all of it, coded in DNA, in every cell, waiting for the right combination to appear. Your breath, the last anchor, and even that releasing. The universe keeps turning, keeps changing, and keeping the same. Eye colors shift through populations, through generations, through time. New mutations appear, spread, or vanish. Old patterns persist, hide, re-emerge. Nothing is truly lost. Nothing is truly new, just recombination of ancient themes gone into sleep's embrace, and we keep drifting, floating through these mysteries, through melanin and light, through genetics and chance, through beauty and science, through everything that makes us human, individual, connected to all who came before and all who will come after. Your consciousness fading into warm, dark, peaceful nothing. The science behind every glance is vast, is deep, is just beautiful, and the mysterious behind every glance remains, no matter how much we learn. We can't predict who someone will be from their eye color, can't know their thoughts, their dreams, their soul, if such things exist, barely whispered, barely there. We can only look and wonder and recognize another consciousness looking back, another person, unique, irreplaceable, themselves, with eyes brown or blue, or green or hazel, or grey or amber, or violet or black, or any shade between, all beautiful, all worthy, all perfectly them, drifting into sleep, into dreams, into rest. And as you sink now completely into darkness, into peace, into sleep, let your eyes rest. Let them close, if not already closed. Let the lids seal gently, softly, completely. No light entering, just darkness, just warmth, just rest, sinking, gone. Your thoughts scattering like light, dispersing, fading into nothing. These myths persist even now. Personality tests claiming brown-eyed people are loyal, blue-eyed people are creative, green-eyed people are mysterious. But science finds no correlation, none, between eye color and personality, between pigment and temperament. These are stories we tell, patterns we imagine, in randomness. Your whole body made of lead, of stone, of sleep itself. Eye color can indicate certain medical predispositions, very subtly. People with light eyes have slightly higher risk of age-related macular degeneration, because less melanin means less UV protection. Over a lifetime, the retina can accumulate damage, slowly, imperceptibly. But this is risk, not destiny. And other factors matter far more. Diet, genetics, smoking, overall health, each beat softer than the last. Injury can change eye color. Trauma to the eye, if severe enough, can damage the iris, bleeding into the tissue, scarring, inflammation, might darken a light eye, or in rarer cases, damage melanin-producing cells, creating lighter patches. These changes are permanent, marking the injury forever. Your breath barely audible now, shallow, peaceful, perfect. Inflammation from conditions like uveitis can affect eye color temporarily. The iris might appear darker during active inflammation from increased blood flow, from swelling. As inflammation resolves, the color typically returns to normal, but chronic inflammation over years might create lasting changes, drifting through space, through time, untethered to anything. Some eye surgeries, particularly for glaucoma, use medications called prostaglandin analogues, and these can permanently darken the iris. Blue eyes might turn brown, green eyes might deepen over months of use. The medication increases melanin production, stimulating the pigment cells. This effect is permanent, even if the medication is stopped. Your muscles forgetting how to tense, only knowing release. Pupil size varies somewhat with eye color, though it's subtle. Some studies suggest lighter eyes have slightly larger pupils, on average, than darker eyes. This might be compensation, allowing eyes with less UV protection to better control light intake, but the difference is small, barely measurable, barely relevant, sinking past thought, past awareness, into pure rest. Contrast sensitivity, how well you distinguish objects from their background, doesn't vary with eye color. The iris color doesn't affect how the retina processes contrast, how the brain interprets edges. Again, it's a myth, born from assumption, from wanting color to mean more than it does. Your heartbeat, a distant drum, far away, getting farther. Some claim eye color affects sleep patterns, circadian rhythms, that light eyes are more sensitive to morning light, disrupting sleep earlier. But studies find no clear link. Circadian rhythm depends on specialized cells in the retina that aren't affected by iris pigmentation. We all respond to light, regardless of whether our eyes are dark or pale, floating in warm darkness, suspended, safe. Eye strain from screens, from reading, from close work, doesn't correlate with eye color either. It's about focusing muscles, about the ciliary body, about how long you maintain near focus. Blink rate matters, screen brightness matters, distance matters, but eye color doesn't. Thump, 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 fading into background, into silence. Within families, eye color variation can seem random, unpredictable, almost magical in its surprises. Recessive traits can hide quietly across many generations, waiting for the perfect moment to surface again when two carriers finally meet. Two brown-eyed parents usually have brown-eyed children, but occasionally blue or green appears, catching everyone off guard. Those recessive genes, hiding for generations, suddenly expressing when two carriers meet, when the right combination clicks into place. Your body temperature dropping slightly as sleep approaches, as metabolism slows. Eye color prediction, based on parents' colors, is probabilistic, not certain, forever shaded with uncertainty. Simple Mendelian rules give way to the tangled dance of 16 or more genes working together in ways we only partly understand. Online calculators, DNA tests can estimate, can say 70% chance of brown, but never guarantee, never promise, because those 16 plus genes interact in complex ways we're still mapping, still learning, releasing, releasing everything into the soft dark. DNA testing companies now can predict eye color from a sample with reasonable accuracy, especially for brown versus blue. Genetic technology has grown sharp enough to separate the stark contrasts, yet it still falters when colors drift into subtler shades. The prediction gets harder with intermediate colors, with hazel, with green, because those depend on precise melanin levels, on exact gene interactions. But it's improving, year by year, algorithm by algorithm, your jaw slack, tongue still, throat open, breath flowing, effortless. Probability charts exist, showing likelihood, offering glimpses of statistical truth. Across large populations, these numbers sketch reliable patterns, even though no chart can speak with certainty to any single child. If both parents have blue eyes, 99% chance the child has blue. If both have brown, but each has one blue eye gene hidden, 25% chance of a blue-eyed child. These are averages across populations, not promises, not certainties, drifting deeper, past where dreams begin, into pure nothing, truly rare colors, beyond the standard palette, exist in tiny fractions of humanity. Extreme genetic combinations, absence of melanin layered with the faint red glow of blood vessels, remain vanishingly uncommon. Violet eyes, sometimes attributed to Elizabeth Taylor, are likely just very light blue under certain lighting, creating purple reflections. True violet, from lack of melanin plus red from blood vessels, is extraordinarily rare, maybe 1 in a million, maybe fewer, heavier than gravity, sinking through the mattress, through the floor, through earth. Black eyes, truly black, not just very dark brown, are also rare. Maximum melanin density can swallow nearly all light, blurring the line between pupil and iris until they merge into one deep void. They require melanin so dense that no light reflects back. The pupil and iris become nearly indistinguishable. This is most common in East Asian populations, in certain African populations, where melanin levels reach maximum density, your eyelids sealed, too heavy to imagine opening, too comfortable to try. Amber eyes, true amber, distinct from hazel, occur in less than 5% of the world's population. A rare pigment called lipochrome gathers in the iris to create that warm, almost luminous golden fire. They're most common in South America, in parts of Asia. That warm, golden, almost glowing quality arising from lipochrome concentration. Thump, thump, your heart barely whispering, barely there. In twins, identical twins, eye color should match because they share DNA completely. Yet even perfect genetic copies can diverge slightly when expression is nudged by the quiet forces of development inside the womb. But occasionally, epigenetic factors, how genes are expressed, not the genes themselves, can create slight differences. One twin's eyes might be slightly darker or show different patterns. Same genetic code, different reading, the boundary between wake and sleep dissolving. You're floating in between. Even in identical twins, the iris patterns, the crypts and furrows, the collarette, differ. Random pressures and tiny chance events during fetal growth sculpt each iris into a landscape no other can duplicate. These develop the womb, influenced by random variation, by pressure, by position, making even identical DNA create unique eyes. Your breath, the only thing remaining, soft, slow, steady. Eye color links to ancestry, loosely, with broad geographic patterns. Ancient journeys out of Africa and later waves of migration left their subtle signatures in the frequencies of brown, blue, and green across the globe. Brown eyes suggest ancestry, from regions near the equator, from Africa, from Asia, from South America. Blue and green suggest European ancestry, particularly Northern European, but centuries of migration, of mixing, make these correlations imperfect, suggestive, never definitive, sinking through layers of consciousness towards sleep's core. Over millennia, eye color evolved, shifted, adapted to new environments. A single ancient mutation that lightened eyes once offered little survival edge, yet it spread, perhaps because dim northern light favored it, or perhaps simply because people found the change beautiful. The first humans all had brown eyes, dark, protective, perfect for African sun. As humans migrated north into Europe, into Asia, evolutionary pressures changed. UV protection mattered less. Perhaps lighter eyes offered advantages in dim light, in long winters, or perhaps they spread through reproductive selection, through preference, through beauty, your mind emptying, thoughts evaporating, leaving only this voice, these words. Green eyes cluster in Europe, especially northern and central regions, but also appear in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. The same rare allele arose more than once in human history, carried along forgotten trade routes and ancient wanderings long before writing began. This suggests multiple origins, multiple mutations, or ancient migration before recorded history, mixing populations, spreading rare genes, heavier, so heavy, immovable, at peace. Ancient art rarely depicts eye color accurately. Painters and sculptors followed convention and symbol far more than the living faces before them. Egyptian paintings showed everyone with dark outlines, dark eyes, regardless of reality. Greek sculpture left eyes blank, unpainted, or painted uniformly. We don't know if Alexander the Great truly had heterochromia, if Cleopatra had green eyes. The sources conflict, the evidence fades. Thump, 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 barely perceptible, barely real. Medieval paintings began showing more color variation, blue-eyed Madonnas, brown-eyed saints. Yet even then the hues served the story. Divinity in blue, earthiness in brown, rather than the truth of any sitter's gaze. But artistic convention mattered more than observation. Religious symbolism dictated colour choices. Not until photography did we capture true eye colour, unfiltered, undeniable, your body forgotten, only breath remains, only drift. Modern photography, even now, struggles with eye colour accuracy. Lenses and sensors bend light differently than the human retina, so the blue you see in a portrait may glow brighter or shift warmer than it ever did in life. Camera sensors process colour differently than human eyes. Blues might oversaturate, browns might appear too red. The colour balance, the white balance, the lighting, all shift perception. What you see on screen isn't quite what exists in reality. Floating in warm void, no up, no down, no time. Under moonlight, eye colour nearly disappears. When light grows so faint that only rods remain awake in the retina, every iris fades into the same soft grey scale. Everything becomes shades of grey. The cones in our retinas, which detect colour, need sufficient light. Moonlight is too dim, activating only rods, which see in black and white. Blue eyes and brown look the same in moon glow. Your heartbeat and the universe beating as one. Thump, thump in low light. Eye colour perception shifts toward darkness. Dilated pupils and scarce photons rob the brain of the detail it needs to distinguish hue from shade. Light eyes might appear darker, more neutral. Brown eyes might seem black. This is adaptation, pupil dilation, and insufficient light for our brain to process full colour information. Candlelight, with its warm, orange-yellow glow, makes all eye colours appear warmer. The narrow spectrum of flame bathes every iris in amber and honey tones, softening blues into grey-green and coaxing browns toward gold. Blues seem grey-blue, or even slightly green. Browns seem amber or honey. Green eyes seem more golden. It's the light temperature, the colour spectrum, limited, shifted toward red, sinking, past where words have meaning. Eye colour creates illusions, sometimes. A sudden angle of sun, a nearby scarf, a shadowed room can trick the mind into seeing purple where only blue exists, or gold where brown quietly rests. In certain light, with certain clothes, against certain backgrounds, eyes seem to shift, to change. Blue eyes look purple, brown eyes look gold, hazel eyes look green, then brown, then gold. These aren't real changes, but perception, context, contrast, the brain interpreting incomplete information, drifting on these words, on breath, on nothing. This is why people say, your eyes change colour with your mood. The iris itself stays steady, yet the pupils quiet, opening and closing, driven by joy, fear, desire, alters how much coloured surface catches the light and how the mind reads it. They don't, truly. The iris doesn't respond to emotion, to happiness or anger, but pupil size changes with arousal, excitement, fear, and that changes how much iris shows, how light interacts, creating illusion of color shift, each beat pulling you under into sleep's embrace. Eye color affects facial contrast subtly. A dark iris against pale skin pulls focus sharply, while a light iris against similar skin tones softens the whole expression into something gentler. Dark eyes against light skin create high contrast, drawing attention. Light eyes against light skin create softer contrast, gentler. The same face with different eye colors is perceived differently, not better, not worse, just different. Your thoughts scattered, dissolved, gone. Certain eye colors harmonize with certain skin tones, not by rule, but by probability. Over countless generations, warm undertones tended to travel alongside richer melanin in the iris, cool undertones alongside less, yet the two systems remain free to combine in endless ways. Warm-toned skin often pairs with brown or hazel. Cool-toned skin often pairs with blue or green. But genetics is independent. Skin tone and eye color are controlled by different genes, so any combination can occur. Heavier than the earth itself, you're sinking through crust, through mantle, toward core. The diversity of eye colors across humanity speaks to our genetic richness. Thousands of generations of movement, adaptation, and love have woven a tapestry of hues no single origin could ever contain. To thousands of generations adapting, migrating, mixing. Every eye color is ancient and also new, carried forward from distant ancestors, expressed today in infinite variation. Your breath barely moving, barely there, perfect stillness. Each iris is as unique as a fingerprint. The delicate lacework of crypts, furrows, rings, and freckles forms a pattern so intricate and stable that no two have ever matched across all of human history. More unique, actually. More data points, more variation. The pattern of crypts, the radial furrows, the rings, the spots. No computer, no database holds two identical irises, even accounting for billions of people across all time, drifting in space among stars, cold, silent, peaceful. This uniqueness makes iris recognition extremely secure for identification, because the structure lives and breathes, blood moving, pupil subtly shifting, depth changing. No photograph or mask can imitate what the scanner sees in a living eye. Airport scanners, phone unlocking, high security facilities. A photo won't fool them. The three-dimensional structure, the subtle variations, must match exactly. Living tissue, with blood flow, with subtle movement, with depth. Your heart and the stars pulsing together. Eye color databases now contain millions of records, mapping frequency by region, by ancestry, by population. Scientists trace those shifting percentages backward through time, reading the story of how our species wandered, met, and blended across continents. Researchers study these patterns to understand migration, to understand evolution, to understand what makes us human. Your mind empty, a vessel for sleep, for rest. In non-human animals, eye colors vary wildly. Evolution shaped eyes for vision, camouflage, signaling, or simply chance across countless branches of life. Goats have rectangular pupils and golden eyes. Cats have slitted pupils and eyes ranging from blue to green to gold. Dogs have brown or blue or even both. Horses usually have dark brown, but occasionally blue or heterochromia, sinking deeper than deep, past awareness, past self. Within families, eye color variation can seem random, unpredictable, almost magical in its surprises. Recessive traits can hide quietly across many generations, waiting for the perfect moment to surface again when two carriers finally meet. Two brown-eyed parents usually have brown-eyed children, but occasionally blue or green appears, catching everyone off guard. Those recessive genes, hiding for generations, suddenly expressing when two carriers meet, when the right combination clicks into place, your body temperature dropping slightly as sleep approaches, as metabolism slows. Eye color prediction, based on parents' colors, is probabilistic, not certain, forever shaded with uncertainty. Simple Mendelian rules give way to the tangled dance of 16 or more genes working together in ways we only partly understand. Online calculators, DNA tests, can estimate, can say 70% chance of brown, but never guarantee, never promise, because those 16 plus genes interact in complex ways we're still mapping, still learning, releasing everything into the soft dark. DNA testing companies now can predict eye color from a sample with reasonable accuracy, especially for brown versus blue. Genetic technology has grown sharp enough to separate the stark contrasts, yet it still falters when colors drift into subtler shades. The prediction gets harder with intermediate colors, with hazel, with green, because those depend on precise melanin levels, on exact gene interactions. But it's improving, year by year, algorithm by algorithm, your jaw slack, tongue still, throat open, breath flowing, effortless. Probability charts exist, showing likelihood, offering glimpses of statistical truth. Across large populations, these numbers sketch reliable patterns. Even though no chart can speak with certainty to any single child, if both parents have blue eyes, 99% chance the child has blue. If both have brown, but each has one blue eye gene hidden, 25% chance of a blue-eyed child. These are averages across populations, not promises, not certainties, drifting deeper, past where dreams begin, into pure nothing. Truly rare eye colors, beyond the standard palette, exist in tiny fractions of humanity. Extreme genetic combinations, absence of melanin layered with the faint red glow of blood vessels, remain vanishingly uncommon. Violet eyes, sometimes attributed to Elizabeth Taylor, are likely just very light blue under certain lighting, creating purple reflections. True violet, from lack of melanin plus red from blood vessels, is extraordinarily rare. Maybe 1 in a million, maybe fewer, heavier than gravity, sinking through the mattress, through the floor, through earth. Black eyes, truly black, not just very dark brown, are also rare. Maximum melanin density can swallow nearly all light, blurring the line between pupil and iris until they merge into one deep void. They require melanin so dense that no light reflects back. The pupil and iris become nearly indistinguishable. This is most common in East Asian populations, in certain African populations, where melanin levels reach maximum density. Your eyelids sealed, too heavy to imagine opening, too comfortable to try. Amber eyes, true amber, distinct from hazel, occur in less than 5% of the world's population. A rare pigment called lipochrome gathers in the iris to create that warm, almost luminous golden fire. They're most common in South America, in parts of Asia. That warm, golden, almost glowing quality, arising from lipochrome concentration. Thump, thump, your heart barely whispering as barely there. In twins, identical twins, eye colour should match because they share DNA completely. Yet even perfect genetic copies can diverge slightly when expression is nudged by the quiet forces of development inside the womb. But occasionally, epigenetic factors, how genes are expressed, not the genes themselves, can create slight differences. One twin's eyes might be slightly darker or show different patterns. Same genetic code, different reading. The boundary between wake and sleep dissolving. You're floating in between. Even in identical twins, the iris patterns, the crypts and furrows, the collarette differ. Random pressures and tiny chance events during fetal growth sculpt each iris into a landscape no other can duplicate. These develop in the womb, influenced by random variation, by pressure, by position, making even identical DNA create unique eyes. Your breath, the only thing remaining, soft, slow, steady. Eye colour links to ancestry, loosely, with broad geographic patterns. Ancient journeys out of Africa and later waves of migration left their subtle signatures in the frequencies of brown, blue, and green across the globe. Brown eyes suggest ancestry from regions near the equator, from Africa, from Asia, from South America. Blue and green suggest European ancestry, particularly Northern European, but centuries of migration, of mixing, make these correlations imperfect, suggestive, never definitive, sinking through layers of consciousness towards sleep's core. Over millennia, eye colour evolved, shifted, adapted to new environments. A single ancient mutation that lightened eyes once offered little survival edge, yet it spread, Perhaps because dim northern light favoured it, or perhaps simply because people found the change beautiful. The first humans all had brown eyes, dark, protective, perfect for African sun. As humans migrated north into Europe, into Asia, evolutionary pressures changed. UV protection mattered less. Perhaps lighter eyes offered advantage in dim light in long winters, or perhaps they spread through reproductive selection, through preference, through beauty, your mind emptying, thoughts evaporating, leaving only this voice, these words. Green eyes cluster in Europe, especially northern and central regions, but also appear in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. The same rare allele arose more than once in human history, carried along forgotten trade routes and ancient wanderings long before writing began. This suggests multiple origins, multiple mutations, or ancient migration before recorded history, mixing populations, spreading rare genes, heavier, so heavy, immovable, at peace. Ancient art rarely depicts eye color accurately. Painters and sculptors followed convention and symbol far more than the living faces before them. Egyptian paintings showed everyone with dark outlines, dark eyes, regardless of reality. Greek sculpture left eyes blank, unpainted, or painted uniformly. We don't know if Alexander the Great truly had heterochromia, if Cleopatra had green eyes. The sources conflict, the evidence fades. Thump, 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 barely perceptible, barely real. Medieval paintings began showing more colour variation, blue-eyed Madonnas, brown-eyed saints. Yet even then the hues served the story. Divinity in blue, earthiness in brown, rather than the truth of any sitter's gaze. But artistic convention mattered more than observation. Religious symbolism dictated colour choices. Not until photography did we capture true eye colour, unfiltered, undeniable, your body forgotten, only breath remains, only drift. Modern photography, even now, struggles with eye colour accuracy. Lenses and sensors bend light differently than the human retina. So the blue you see in a portrait may glow brighter or shift warmer than it ever did in life. Camera sensors process colour differently than human eyes. Blues might oversaturate, browns might appear too red. The colour balance, the white balance, the lighting, all shift perception. What you see on screen isn't quite what exists in reality, floating in warm void, no up, no down, no time. Under moonlight, eye colour nearly disappears. When light grows so faint that only rods remain awake in the retina, every iris fades into the same soft grey scale. Everything becomes shades of grey. The cones in our retinas, which detect colour, need sufficient light. Moonlight is too dim, activating only rods, which see in black and white, blue eyes and brown, look the same. In moonglow, your heartbeat and the universe, beating as one, thump, thump, In low light, eye color perception shifts toward darkness. Dilated pupils and scarce photons rob the brain of the detail it needs to distinguish hue from shade. Light eyes might appear darker, more neutral. Brown eyes might seem black. This is adaptation, pupil dilation, and insufficient light for our brain to process. Full color information, candlelight, with its warm orange-yellow glow, makes all eye colors appear warmer. The narrow spectrum of flame bathes every iris in amber and honey tones, softening blues into grey-green and coaxing browns toward gold. Blues seem grey-blue, or even slightly green. Browns seem amber or honey. Green eyes seem more golden. It's the light temperature, the color spectrum, limited, shifted toward red, sinking, past where words have meaning. Eye color creates illusions. Sometimes a sudden angle of sun, a nearby scarf, a shadowed room can trick the mind into seeing purple where only blue exists, or gold where brown quietly rests. In certain light, with certain clothes, against certain backgrounds, eyes seem to shift, to change. Blue eyes look purple, brown eyes look gold, hazel eyes look green, then brown, then gold. These aren't real changes, but perception, context, contrast, the brain interpreting incomplete information, drifting on these words, on breath, on nothing. This is why people say, your eyes change color with your mood. The iris itself stays steady, yet the pupils quiet opening and closing, driven by joy, fear, desire, alters how much colored surface catches the light and how the mind reads it. They don't, truly. The iris doesn't respond to emotion, to happiness or anger, but pupil size changes with arousal, excitement, fear, and that changes how much iris shows, how light interacts, creating illusion of color shift, each beat pulling you under into sleep's embrace. Eye color affects facial contrast subtly. A dark iris against pale skin pulls focus sharply, while a light iris against similar skin tones softens the whole expression into something gentler. Dark eyes against light skin create high contrast, drawing attention. Light eyes against light skin create softer contrast, gentler. The same face, with different eye colors, is perceived differently, not better, not worse, just different. Your thoughts, scattered, dissolved, gone. Certain eye colors harmonize with certain skin tones, not by rule, but by probability. Over countless generations, warm undertones tended to travel alongside richer melanin in the iris, cool undertones alongside less. Yet the two systems remain free to combine in endless ways. Warm-toned skin often pairs with brown or hazel. Cool-toned skin often pairs with blue or green. But genetics is independent. Skin tone and eye color are controlled by different genes, so any combination can occur. Heavier than the earth itself, you're sinking through crust, through mantle, toward core. The diversity of eye colors across humanity speaks to our genetic richness. Thousands of generations of movement, adaptation, and love have woven a tapestry of hues no single origin could ever contain. To thousands of generations adapting, migrating, mixing, every eye color is ancient and also new, carried forward from distant ancestors, expressed today in infinite variation. Your breath barely moving, barely there, perfect stillness. Each iris is as unique as a fingerprint. The delicate lacework of crypts, furrows, rings, and freckles forms a pattern so intricate and stable that no two have ever matched across all of human history. More unique, actually, more data points, more variation. The pattern of crypts, the radial furrows, the rings, the spots, no computer, no database, holds two identical irises, even accounting for billions of people across all time, drifting in space among stars, cold, silent, peaceful. This uniqueness makes iris recognition extremely secure for identification, because the structure lives and breathes, blood moving, pupils subtly shifting, depth changing. No photograph or mask can imitate what the scanner sees in a living eye. Airport scanners, phone unlocking, high security facilities. A photo won't fool them. The three-dimensional structure, the subtle variations, must match exactly. Living tissue, with blood flow, with subtle movement, with depth, your heart and the stars, pulsing together. Eye color databases now contain millions of records, mapping frequency by region, by ancestry, by population. Scientists trace those shifting percentages backward through time, reading the story of how our species wandered, met, and blended across continents. Researchers study these patterns to understand migration, to understand evolution, to understand what makes us human. Your mind empty, a vessel for sleep, for rest. In non-human animals, eye colors vary wildly. Evolution-shaped eyes for vision, camouflage, signaling, or simply chance across countless branches of life. Animal eye colors serve different purposes than ours. Nocturnal animals often have a tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer that makes eyes glow in headlights, in flashlight beams. Humans lack this. Our eyes don't reflect, don't glow, just absorb and scatter. Goats have rectangular pupils and golden eyes. Cats have slitted pupils and eyes ranging from blue to green to gold. Dogs have brown or blue or even both. Horses usually have dark brown, but occasionally blue or heterochromia. Your body dissolving into the bed, into darkness, into peace. Selective breeding in animals can intensify or change eye color. Breeders choose for striking looks, creating lines of dogs or cats with vivid blues or unusual contrasts that nature alone might never produce. Blue-eyed dogs, bred intentionally for appearance. Blue-eyed cats, bred, but sometimes linked to deafness, to health issues. In humans, There's no selective breeding, just natural variation, mate choice, random chance, thump, thump, barely a whisper, barely anything. Future predictions of global eye color trends suggest brown will remain dominant. As globalization continues, dominant brown alleles are poised to become even more widespread over centuries. As populations mix, as migration increases, brown eye genes, being dominant, will likely spread. Blue and green might become rarer or might persist in clusters, in regions where they're already common. Your breath, the last anchor to consciousness. Even that, fading. Some theorize that climate change might influence eye color over many generations. If rising UV levels persist across vast regions, darker irises could offer subtle protective advantages in the far future. If UV radiation increases due to ozone depletion, darker eyes might have advantages, might spread, but this is speculation. Evolutionary change is slow, requires thousands of years of consistent pressure, heavier, so heavy, you've forgotten what lightness feels like. Changes across generations, within families, within populations, happen constantly. Every union of distant ancestries reshuffles the genetic deck, producing shades that bridge old divides and hint at futures yet unseen. A blue-eyed European and a brown-eyed Asian might have children with hazel eyes, green eyes, intermediate shades, and their children's children carry both lineages, both possibilities, ready to express in countless combinations, drifting, no longer fighting, no longer trying, just being, just sleeping. Population mixing accelerates now, faster than any time in human history. Borders blur, distances shrink, and every new family becomes a quiet experiment in genetic fusion. People move, migrate, fall in love across continents, across ancestries. Eye colors that were once geographically separate now appear together in families, in communities, creating new patterns, new possibilities. Your heartbeat merging with silence, becoming indistinguishable from nothing in space under artificial lighting. On the International Space Station, eye color would appear different than on Earth. LED panels mimic daylight yet lack the full warmth and scattering of our planet's atmosphere. The lighting spectrum is carefully controlled, but different from sunlight, different from even indoor lights. Blues might appear more grey, browns more flat, without Earth's atmosphere to scatter light, to warm it, to shift it, sinking through the fabric of reality itself into dreams, into void. Zero gravity affects blood flow, affects pressure in the eyes. Fluid shifts upward in weightlessness, sometimes causing subtle changes in how the iris catches light. Astronauts sometimes experience vision changes, swelling of the optic nerve. Would this affect perceived eye color? There's no data, no studies, but increased blood flow might make eyes appear slightly darker, slightly more red, temporarily. Your thoughts like smoke, dissolving, dispersing, gone. Human variation in eye color is a gift, a remnant of our journey across the planet. Each shade carries echoes of ancient sun, ancient ice, ancient wanderings. Each color marks a pathway, a population, a history. Brown eyes tell of origins near the equator. Blue eyes tell of northern migrations. Green eyes of mixtures, of meetings, of love across distances, fading into the background hum of existence. Eye color doesn't determine who we are. It doesn't predict personality, intelligence, worth, kindness, strength. It's simply melanin, simply physics, simply inheritance. Yet we assign meaning, find beauty in these accidents of genetics. Heavier than the universe, you're collapsing inward into sleep singularity, and perhaps that's appropriate. Perhaps beauty is exactly that, finding meaning in randomness, in the scatter of light, in the distribution of pigment, in eyes looking back at eyes looking forward. Your breath, so slow, so shallow, barely sustaining, barely there. Every time you look into someone's eyes, you're seeing billions of years of evolution, of adaptation, of survival. You're seeing the sun in Africa, creating melanin, protecting against UV. You're seeing mutations in ancient populations, spreading slowly through choice, through chance, drifting beyond thought, beyond time, beyond everything. You're seeing the Tyndall effect, light scattering in the iris's stroma, creating colors that don't exist as pigments. You're seeing structure, microscopic structure, too small to imagine, creating beauty at macro scale. Your body, forgotten, dissolved, no longer separate from the darkness. The iris develops, before birth, in the womb, starting as a small bubble, folding, layering, becoming complex. Melanocytes migrate, settle, begin producing pigment or not, depending on genetics, depending on signals, depending on mystery. Thump, thump, heartbeat and silence, indistinguishable now. At birth, many of those melanocytes aren't active yet, haven't started producing full melanin levels. So babies, especially European babies, often have blue or grey eyes. The iris is formed, but unpigmented, still waiting. Your mind, a vast empty space, dark, quiet, peaceful, over months, over years. Those melanocytes activate. If genetics demands it, melanin accumulates, layer by layer, molecule by molecule. Blue shifts to green, green shifts to hazel, hazel shifts to brown. Some irises darken quickly in the first year, others take 3 years to reach final color, sinking past dreams into pure unconsciousness, into rest's deepest chamber. This darkening is usually permanent. Once melanin accumulates, it stays. But the opposite, lightening in adulthood, can happen with age, with disease, with medication. The iris is living tissue, dynamic, capable of change, though usually it stays constant, a reliable feature in a changing face. Your breath, the only motion, the only proof. You still exist in this world. Hormonal effects during pregnancy, during puberty, during menopause are subtle, temporary. The iris might seem darker due to increased blood flow or lighter due to fluid retention, but these aren't true changes in melanin, just in appearance, in perception. They fade when hormones stabilize. Heavier, heavier. You've never been so heavy, so relaxed, so gone. Emotional states don't change eye color, but they change perception. When angry, pupils might dilate, making irises appear darker. When happy, pupils might constrict, making color more visible, more saturated. We interpret these changes as color shifts, but the iris itself stays constant, each beat an eternity apart. Lighting remains the biggest factor in perceived eye color. Natural sunlight brings out true colors. Blues appear bright, browns appear rich. Fluorescent light flattens everything, makes blues appear grey, browns appear muddy. LED light depends on color temperature. Warm LEDs enhance browns, cool LEDs enhance blues. Your consciousness, a candle, flickering, about to go out. Photographers know golden hour light makes every eye color stunning. The warm, low-angle sunlight creates depth, creates luminosity. Even brown eyes seem to glow from within. Even blue eyes seem deeper, more complex, more alive, drifting in the space between heartbeats, between breaths, between moments. Clothing color works through simultaneous contrast, where a color's complement and eye color intensifies. Where blue eyes pop, where orange or rust, and blue eyes become electric. Where green, hazel eyes pull green, where purple and brown eyes seem warmer, richer. Your thoughts scattered across the universe, never to reunite. Seasonal light changes everything. Summer's bright, harsh sun washes out color, makes everything paler. Winter's low, soft light enriches color, makes everything more saturated. Your eyes don't change, but every photo, every mirror, every reflection shows them differently. Thump, thump, your heart barely beating, barely trying. The iris structure, those layers of tissue, create texture visible under magnification. The anterior border layer with crypts like tiny valleys, the stroma with collagen bundles like tangled threads, the dilator muscle radiating outward, the sphincter muscle circling the pupil, all creating that intricate pattern, that uniqueness, sinking through the bottom of sleep into something deeper, something nameless. Light scatters in the stroma's collagen, in the spaces between fibers. Shorter wavelengths scatter more, creating blue in eyes without much melanin. This is Rayleigh scattering, the same physics that makes sky blue, that makes sunsets red, your breath barely stirring, the air around you barely moving, barely living. Structural color versus pigment color represents different strategies, different solutions to the same problem: how to be visible, identifiable, beautiful. Butterfly wings, peacock feathers, blue morpho butterflies all use structure. Humans use both, combining them in endless variation. Heavier than black holes, you're collapsing into perfect stillness. Why blue eyes aren't truly blue matters less than that we perceive them as blue. The truth is physics and anatomy, but the experience is color, is beauty, is recognition. Both truths coexist, both valid, both real. Your mind, empty, a vessel filled only with these words, these whispers. Heterochromia, in its varieties, reminds us that development isn't always uniform nor isn't always symmetrical. Central heterochromia, with its sunburst, shows melanin depositing unevenly, creating gradients, creating art. Complete heterochromia shows even more variation. One eye's melanocytes activating fully, the other eyes staying quiet, almost gone, almost silent. Sectoral heterochromia, that wedge of color, that pie slice, happens when melanin deposits in patches, in sections. During development, it's permanent, it's harmless, it's beautiful. Each case unique, no two patterns identical, across billions of eyes, across all time, drifting beyond the edge of consciousness into pure nothing. Famous figures with rare eye colors capture imagination. We wonder about Elizabeth Taylor's violet, likely just like blue under studio lights. We read about Alexander's heterochromia, one blue, one brown. If true, if legend, we can't know for certain. From ancient texts, from contradictory sources, your heartbeat, a distant star, pulsing in far space, barely relevant to you here, now. These stories matter less than truth, but we love them, you know. Anyway, we assign importance to rare traits, to unusual features, to eyes that stand out, that capture light, that capture attention. Your body, no longer yours, just a warm mass, breathing, existing, nothing more. Eye color symbolism across cultures shows our need for meaning, for pattern, for attributing personality to biology, for finding cosmic significance in melanin concentration. We want eyes to be windows to the soul, when really they're just windows to the retina, sinking past language, past thought, past being. But maybe that's enough. Maybe being able to see, to perceive light, to focus, to recognize faces is miracle enough without added meaning. The iris is mechanical, is biological, is chemical, and also beautiful, complex, unique, worthy of study, of appreciation, of rest. Thump, thump, barely there, barely anything, barely. Eye color won't determine your destiny, but it's part of you, carried forward from ancestors you never met. passed on potentially to descendants you'll never know, a thread connecting past to present to future, a marker of your journey through evolution, through history, through time, your breath, so slow, consciousness, finally letting go. And as you drift now, deeper, deeper into sleep, remember that every human who ever lived had eyes, had irises, had colour, whether brown or blue or green or amber or grey, each one unique, each one beautiful, each one a small miracle of physics, of biology, of light, heavier, heavier, almost gone, almost asleep, almost. Your eyes closing now, if not already closed. The muscles relaxing, the lids sealing, no light entering and just darkness, just rest, just the slow, soft, gentle drift into sleep, into dreams, into nothing, your heart barely whispering, your breath barely there, your thoughts dissolved completely into the warm, dark, quiet peace, and somewhere in the future, in the past, in the eternal now, eyes are opening, eyes are closing, colours shifting, we're in different light, in different times, blue eyes reflecting morning, brown eyes absorbing noon, green eyes catching sunset, grey eyes soft in twilight, sinking, 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 past all boundaries, past all awareness. The universe keeps turning, eye colours quietly shifting through human history, melanin concentrations rising and falling with the sun, light scattering through irises, creating colours that don't exist, except in perception, except in the meeting of light and eye and brain, except in beauty, heavier than anything. You're gone now, into sleep, into rest, into the deepest dark, and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, 100 eye colors mysteries, looping softly, endlessly, through the night, through why green eyes cluster in Northern Europe, through how injury can permanently change iris color, through the genetics that make prediction possible but never certain, your heartbeat fading, fading, fading into silence. There's nothing you need to do now, just let your body sink, heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing, matching the rhythm of space itself, shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark. The universe keeps turning, eye colors quietly shifting through human history, and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, looping softly, endlessly through the night, through brown eyes and blue eyes and green eyes and hazel and amber and grey and all the colours in between, all the variations, all the subtle shades that make each iris, each eye, each person unique, heavier, heavier, gone, and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, 100 eye colours mysteries, looping softly, endlessly, through the night, into sleep, into dreams, into perfect, peaceful. Darkness. The universe keeps turning, eye colors quietly shifting through human history, and will keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries